If you want to perform some action when the Eloquent object is created or updated, it is usually done with Observer class. It's kind of like events and listeners in Laravel, but all the listeners related to the same Eloquent model are grouped into one class called Observer. To generate the observer for the specific model, you run PHP Artisan, make observer, you call it typically model name observer, and then you add a parameter of which model it is for. So if you launch that, it generates the class in app observers folder. If that folder doesn't exist, it will generate it for you as well. And then in that observer class, you will find generated methods: created, updated, deleted, restored, and force deleted. These are for soft deletes, but generally you can add any code you want, which will be automatically launched when the user is created or updated or deleted. For example, you can launch some notification to someone, notify admin that the user was created, or notify the user themselves with some welcome email or something like that. In this example, I will just do info to the Laravel log that user was created with the email of user email. So the whole Eloquent object is a parameter to that function. To enable that observer, it's not enough to generate that, we need to register that into the system. And for that, we have a file called Event Service Provider, which is with default Laravel. And there are two ways how you can register the observer. In the boot method of your Event Service Provider, you may specify user observe, and then the parameter would be the observer class name, user observer class, and those both should be auto-completed in my PHP Storm here automatically here on top. So this is one way. Or another way, in the same Event Service Provider, you can register a property called observers, which would be an array of user class, which is model, that's the key, and the value would be user observer class. Pick whichever you want, those both are valid. I will go with boot method and we'll comment this out. So now if we create some user, so I just launched that in the browser, it doesn't show anything, doesn't return anything because, well, the method is empty. But if we go to Laravel log, we have local info, user was created. Now, in addition to the methods that are automatically generated when you run Artisan command, you can create your own methods for the events that are also supported by Laravel. For example, created and updated are separate methods, but there's one method called saved, which will be automatically launched in both cases, in the created and updated. So that's one thing. Or more interesting case is creating. So for all of those created, updated, and deleted, which happen after the record is saved in the database, you can also define creating, updating, and deleting, which would happen before the record is changed in the database. So public function creating, and user model is a parameter, and you can change that user model, change some property. Like, for example, if you want your user to be automatically verified with email, email verified at equals now, for example. And now if we launch that in the browser, again, it doesn't show anything visually, but in the database, in the users table, we have the new user with email verified at. Although we didn't specify that in the controller, the home controller is without the email verified at, you can do that in Observer.